And welcome everybody to our bonus features segment. We'll be talking about things like GPS errors and some additional fantastic imagery of the closest star. So here is the total electron content forecast, showing you the most likely places on planet Earth for GPS errors. The most common place for them, folks, is around the equator at noon, slightly south of it in the summertime for the southern hemisphere, slightly north of it for northern hemisphere summer. No major chaos happening at the moment. Fairly organized are the electrons currently around planet Earth. It's the total electron content forecast. And here's a diagram of what you're looking at. It's the area in between your GPS satellite and your handset. So the electrons that are up here in the plasmasphere, as well as in the lower Van Allen belt, can cause communications breakdowns. In other words, massive GPS errors. Next, charging hazards. Just some minor surface charging there over the Central Pacific. No big deal. We saw a massive dip here as forecasted in the electron content. There's the 1-year chart of the greater than 2 mega electron volt electron flux. And here's a 3-day chart. You can see how cratered that is. It's a typical feature of coronal hole high-speed streams. Here's the forecast model, and the forecast model expecting it to remain low here. Perhaps I think there are additional coronal hole high-speed streams on the way. Next, we're going to show you the ionosphere. The ionogram located at about 300 kilometers of altitude. That's where the F layer is located. By the way, the F layer is where the GOES 16 and 17 endeavor to make their measurements from their geosynchronous orbit. They use radiography to measure the electron content at this portion of the atmosphere. It's showing vibrational frequency in megahertz and giving us insight into what's going on overhead. We try to tie the data together, folks. We try to tie the variables together and give you a full spectrum view of what is going on in the Earth-Sun environment. So here's the anomalygram. We showed you the ionogram. Here's the anomalygram. Continued anomalies over the central portion of Africa. And a lot of high-frequency anomalies here happening at the moment. You can see quite a few here over the Pacific Ocean, over the Indian Ocean, Southeast Asia. Primarily showing high-frequency anomalies here at the moment. Some major ones here over Hawaii and some wild swings there in the Pacific as well. It's showing anomaly in megahertz from the 30-day median. Let's bring up the latest image. That's 11 o'clock Universal Time. Ionogram, 11 o'clock Universal Time. Anomalygram. Are you familiar with our mission? Well, here's our mission. You can find it at smashamash.com/forum. Right at the bottom of the page, there's a link to it. And our mission is to assist, study, and report on the ongoing formation of a unified theory of physics. Just because science hasn't figured it out yet doesn't mean it can't be figured out. 2, to raise the awareness of the general public of the relationship between space, weather, and Earth effects, hence these videos. 3, to connect and consult with media organizations to multiply our reach. Once again, videos like this one, to demonstrate cutting-edge proof-of-concept solutions to problems. More on that at a later time. We won't put the more on and more on that. We'll be smart about things. 5, to publish scientific papers in a multidisciplinary manner, including various different sciences, because you need to be well-rounded nowadays. And you've got access to the internet if you're watching this video, which means you ought to know things. 6, to assist mankind by advancing the study of predictive phenomenon in order to optimize value, reduce risk and liability, save lives and resources, and adapt no matter what the adversity is. And lastly, number 7, to not be ossified in our beliefs and to treat those who are with love, respect, and inclusion to the scientific discussion. See, here's the thing, folks. If you're ossified in your beliefs, you're not doing science, you're doing dogma. And you may have noticed in the past 2 years a lot of nonsensical dogma. Thanks to the SMASH team for supporting our mission. If you would like to help us out, we replaced Patreon with something superior, our own subscription services site at smashamash.com/SMASH team. Shout out to SMASH staff for creating such great content. We've made changes to the homepage as well at smashamash.com. If you want to see what the changes are, go have a look. We'll show you a teaser here. By the way, you can find links to the merch shop as well. And welcome to the Neo Renaissance. Congratulations on realizing the channel exists. Here come additional bonus features. Major prominence is showing up, especially around the western limb here at the ground-based solar observatory here at Cerro Tololo, Chile. It's part of the National Sunspot Observatory. We've got solar observatories all around the world in order to watch the sun all the time. It's some great data there. It's just a delight. Make sure you watch our previous videos. There's all kinds of other stuff happening. Here's the latest refresh on the colorized magnetogram and solar intensitygram. So we've got another beta class sunspot having formed right here behind 2934, which is this alpha class. Fairly uninteresting sunspot there. While it's large, it's not magnetically complex and unlikely to produce major flares. Moving over here farther, there is an active region rising right here. It's not currently a sunspot. We don't see any umbrae. So let's slide up and check out these new sunspots, which have just risen. And this one right here is certainly capable of producing large flares, even an M-class flare. This one's already produced a C9.9, I believe. This one up here is interesting as well. It is beta class, and it is at a very high latitude, as you can see. So let's do a little quick roll here of the colorized magnetogram. And you can see the magnetic complexity associated with these sunspot groups. Again, making them much more likely to produce major flares, as we see another solar uptick, an indication that this is nothing like a grand solar minimum. In fact, quite the opposite. It's looking more like a rather large solar cycle. And there are the rest of the magnetic complexities of the closest star. Next, the NASA GOES 16, and we've got a great prominence here showing up. Make it 2, both in the northern hemisphere. And we've seen a massive uptick of solar activity in the northern hemisphere. Make sure you watch our previous videos. We've been putting out 3 space weather videos per day instead of only 1 to deal with things like attention spans and algorithms and other stuff. We'll close things out with some additional solar imagery here. We've brought up the colorized magnetogram and 171 angstroms composite. Just spectacular SDO imagery here. There are the time and date stamps. We'll scroll back up to show you where most of the activity is going on in the northern hemisphere, especially these rising regions over here. It's stellar. So here's the southern hemisphere. This is a composite view here from the SDO, 94 and 131 angstroms. Those are the 2 best wavelengths through which to view solar flares. They have a higher temporal resolution than the other wavelengths. And we'll close out with the northern hemisphere. Thanks for tuning in, viewers, and may that solar wind be at your back.